Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I believe is the um, unhappiest zodiac sign. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people. Well, first sign I want to talk about is, Aries. I mean, Aries could actually be a viable candidate to be the unhappiest zodiac sign. They are, a sign. They could be somewhat abrasive and acerbic. They're ruled by Mars. Mars can be connected with irritations, and they seem to have an irritable nature a lot of times. Aries. I mean, don't get me wrong. They a lot of good qualities. They're not easily discouraged. They have certain exuberance and really very active and have a lot of energy, very energetic and vital, but they're just a sign. I think a lot of it has to do with their Mars rulership. They seem to be acerbic and awful a lot of the time, and they can have a rather combative, contentious nature. And they are, certainly a candidate to be the unhappiest zodiac sign. But I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it is them or not. Now, going to Taurus. Well, Taurus is known for their stolidness. They are a sign that is not really, overly animated or exuberant. Some people can see them as being at least one of the more unhappiest zodiac signs, but Taurus can also have a very benign expression, be very benevolent. I have Taurus rising. Taurus rising and Taurus people can have a certain enthusiasm. They can even have it for even mundane tasks, and they are really they're a sign that can also be very charming, being ruled by Venus. And when you have charming energy, it's not really one where you would see somebody as really being overly unhappy. So I don't think it's Taurus. Now, going to Gemini. Well, Gemini, it would be very hard pressed for me to see them as the unhappiest zodiac sign, because Gemini could be very effervescent, animated, and very amiable, very friendly. They are, being an air sign, they could be very cheerful, very amicable nature. And they are a sign that could have a lot of joy in them. And Gemini I see as being eternally youthful. They are the ones that when you look at Gemini, they are people that generally don't become overly despondent, let things get them down for too long. It's a sign that doesn't like to be pinned down, and I don't think they're, negative mood. Generally, they're not pinned down to any negative mood as well for any protracted period. So it'd be hard for me to say that Gemini would be the most unhappiest zodiac sign. Now, going to Cancer. Well, Cancer can be very moody, temperamental, and fickle. They have their periods where they could be rather melancholy and sullen. Cancer gets in their introverted modes, and they go stay at home a lot. They may often think about negative things when this happens. But remember that they're the opposite sign of Capricorn. So Cancer can have certain animated, very emotional energy. And given that they're very moody, temperamental, and fickle, it means that they go through many different moods, in which could include happy moods. They could be very jocular one time, and then the next moment they might be rather pessimistic and melancholy, despondent, or overly emotional, or sad. They just go through so many. Because Cancer can have the wide mood swings, but for them to be the unhappiest zodiac sign, I think it'd be hard pressed for me to say that they would be. Now, going to Leo. Well, Leo can actually have very sunny disposition and very vibrant energy in nature, and they often inspire others. They bring they bring like this energy like from the sun to others and brighten other people's spirits in their lives. It'd be really hard for me to say that Leo would be the unhappiest of the zodiac signs. Leo, being a fire sign, they have certain temperamental energy. They can have a very fiery, explosive temperament, but but Leo is a sign too. Again, having that sunny disposition, Leo can be really have a lot of outgoing energy. as well, and bring and really talk very positively about things. Leo can be very boastful, but they can talk very positively about their qualities and those of others. So when you have you have that kind of energy, it's really hard for me to say that Leo would be the unhappiest zodiac sign. Now going to Virgo. Well, Virgo, I mean, feminine sign, they can be somewhat negative and pessimistic. They are a sign that is really, I mean, they appear very pensive and very thoughtful often, but it doesn't mean that they're the unhappiest. They can have a propensity toward worry and apprehension, though. But Virgo can be very service oriented, and they usually can perform those tests where they have this certain with them they are certainly not what you would call like mean people, or Virgo generally has a very good disposition overall, and they have, I mean, remember that the zodiac sign Aquarius often falls on the sixth house cusp in a solar or natal chart for Virgo, and they could bring in that strong warmth of friendliness into their daily routine and the service that they perform for others. Virgo has certain friendliness in them, and they are the ones, I mean, they are, as far as encouraging others to live healthier lives, they are not, I wouldn't say that they are the unhappiest of the zodiac signs. Now going to Libra. Well, Libra, of course, can have very balanced temperament. They are about equilibrium. But Libra is an air sign, and air signs can often be very amiable, amicable, and very cheerful. It really would be, and they're often about, I mean, Libras can be about really intellectual sociability and ingratiating themselves with others. They are ones that have a certain friendliness. Sometimes I see it coming across as like a superficial charm with them. But Libra is is usually of a very happy disposition, because again, being an air sign, they have a certain friendliness connected with them. So it'd be hard for me to say that Libra would be the unhappiest of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio has this tendency and proclivity to be vindictive, a lot of vengeful, and to be bitter. They certainly are a viable candidate to be the unhappiest of the zodiac signs, because Scorpio can often be connected with jealousy as well, and a lot of the fact that they can become irritated at others, a lot of that could be attributed to those people having more than them in a lot of cases, and Scorpio does not like to, others to have more than they do. They are the ones that would like to have more, but they often will wind up becoming so strongly envious to the point of jealousy of others because of this, and also because Scorpio can harbor grudges for a protracted period, which causes them to be irritated for a prolonged period. So they're certainly a candidate to be the unhappiest zodiac sign, but I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it's them or not. Now going to Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, I think, is ostensibly not the unhappiest zodiac sign, because Sagittarius can be they can be very jocular and jovial. They're perpetual optimists, or incorrigible optimists, I should say. They are the ones that, so they could be actually the happiest of the zodiac signs. Excuse me, second people, but sorry. But as far as Sagittarius goes, they're the ones that often like to joke, and you'll find them often playing practical jokes or telling jokes at a party. They have a very strong, again, a very buoyant nature, and ones that are often always laughing, and whether it can be at themselves or at others, not in a malicious way, but laughing with others, and joking about their friends or what have you. So they are the ones that you could find them doing stand-up comedy a lot. If I'm not mistaken, I think Lenny Bruce had a Sagittarius Ascendant. So anyway, so I wouldn't think Sagittarius would be the unhappiest of the zodiac signs. Now going to Capricorn. Well, Capricorn can certainly be a viable candidate because Capricorn is being ruled by Saturn. They could be very forlorn and despondent and very melancholy at times. They often, will have a very stern and serious expression on their face. Their disposition is often stern and serious. They are a sign, to me, that can certainly qualify as the most, as far as the unhappiest zodiac sign, because you don't really see Capricorn very jocular very often. I mean, keep in mind the zodiac sign Sagittarius often falls on the 12th house cusp of restrictions in a solar or natal chart for Capricorn. But I'll let you know at the end of the video whether I actually think it's Capricorn or not. Now, going to Aquarius, so it'd be hard for me to say that Aquarius would be the unhappiest of the zodiac signs, because Aquarius is a sign. They often exhibit and exude a lot of friendliness. They are, I see them as the universal friend of the zodiac, very humane. They have a very benevolent nature, where they have a very amiable side to them, very amicable, and they have a lot of cheerfulness, given that Aquarius is an air sign. And they are, when you make friends readily and acquaintances, what have you, you generally have to have certain cheerful energy and positive energy. If you're constantly, if you're surly or you're overly negative and then come across as unhappy, it would be very hard to amass and accumulate the friendships that Aquarius often can do. So I would not think it would be Aquarius. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. Well, now going to Pisces. Well, Pisces, to me, they are a sign it's really hard for me to say, as far as Pisces being the unhappiest of the zodiac signs. I understand they're a feminine sign. They're more about pessimism than optimism. But they have Jupiter that rules them as well as Neptune. And Jupiter, I think, kind of gives them a little bit of hope and optimism in their nature. And they're also, when I see Pisces too, some astrologers will concur and agree and others may not. I see them as the amalgamation of the previous 11 zodiac signs. So I have a little bit of the other qualities of the signs, including some positive ones as well. But Pisces can go through wide mood swings like Cancer, and they're not, but because I really don't see, and when you go through wide mood swings, you're not going to be overly like unhappy, completely unhappy for too long a period. And Pisces has, they try to see the best in others, and they really they try to overlook the transgressions of others, which prevents them from being completely like really miserable and unhappy for any prolonged period. So I would not think it would be Pisces. Now, I'm going to reveal now what sign do I think is the most unhappiest. A lot of you may think I would choose Capricorn, given that they could be rather despondent and melancholy and very serious, given that they have the Saturn rulership. But I'm actually going to go with Aries. Aries, to me, there is something about Aries that, my experience with them, that's really acerbic, and they're constantly, they may not be as serious as Capricorn, but there's something with them where they just seem to really be, where they're just irritated a lot. Again, as I stated before, a lot of that, this is Mars rulership. Mars can rule irritations. Aries can be rather irritable in their nature. They have an acrimonious side to them, and don't get me wrong, Aries can be rather, they can have certain enthusiasm. They could bring some positive energy. They're often great leaders. They could be consummate leaders, actually, and often first in certain fields. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, legendary NBA player, is still the all-time leader in points scored. You have like Pete Rose, though controversial, MLB player, still #1 all-time in hits in the major leagues, and he's an Aries sun, if I'm not mistaken. Aries ascendant as well, and going back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's sun in Aries. But the thing about it is, and then you think, well, why not Scorpio? Well, Scorpio is a viable candidate as well, but Scorpio can really, they sometimes can be on. I mean, Scorpio at times can be on the cusp of Sagittarius, and when they're on the cusp of Sagittarius, it gives a little bit more jocular, happier, more benevolent nature to the sign. And some Scorpios can also be on the cusp of Libra, which could give a certain friendliness, of amiable nature. Now, and I think that for Scorpio, they are, I mean, they can actually, given the fact that they have Pluto in their rulership, they could control that irritable energy of Mars just a little bit more so than Aries can, I think, on average. And if you look at as well. And you look at like a sign, like, I mean, you talk about Aries. Now, Aries, when they're on the cusp of a sign, it's either going to be Pisces or it's going to be Taurus. And both those signs can be, I mean, negative side. Pisces, when you look at the fact that Scorpio is either, I mean, if you have if a Scorpio person is born on the cusp of a sign, it'll either be on the cusp of Libra or on the cusp of Sagittarius. But when you look at Aries, they're on the cusp either of Pisces or more or Taurus, when Taurus is like very stolid, placid energy generally. But then Pisces, of course, being again another feminine sign, can still be somewhat negative, given that it is that they are on that you're talking about the zodiac sign Pisces. And going to the fact that given this energy, and you talk about a super sensitive sign in Pisces as well, which in a way might even add to some irritability with Aries if they are born on the cusp of Pisces as well. So it's a little bit more emotional energy that could be connected with them, and super sensitivity. Aries is the kind person, Aries there's a lot of easy provocation connected with the zodiac sign Aries as well. And there's something with them that they're just, they seem to be constantly ready to have some kind of argument or confrontation. And there is a thing, you look at Kyrie Irving, who was a prolific NBA player. He has his sun in Aries. I know he's believe he has Moon in Scorpio. I don't know his ascendant because I couldn't see his time online. But with him, a lot of times when I'll see him like in interviews or reporters talking to him, a lot of times he seems to be somewhat disgruntled and surly. He was on something on ESPN's First Take one time, the television show First Take, which is shown on ESPN. And I think it was Max Kellerman that was talking to him and asking him something about, well, what do you do, after you're done, with basketball during the day, free time. And what Kyrie Irving had stated was something like, well, I don't know what you do when you get out of work or something. And there's just like a little defensive energy with them. They just don't seem to be generally happy people. And don't get me wrong, I'm not stereotyping Aries by any means. You could have somebody has an Aries sun and has like an air ascendant, will show a lot more cheerfulness and amiable energy outwardly, as opposed to the typical sun in Aries. And the thing about them, though, is, somebody with an Aries ascendant with Jupiter in the first house and or conjunct the ascendant might come across a little bit more jocular and jovial than the typical Aries. But what I'm making is a general statement, of course. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for what I believe is the unhappiest zodiac sign. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.